The following information, material, and content is covered under fair use. This is for teaching, commenting, and training purposes only. Again, this is for teaching, commenting, and training purposes only. This is not intended to be, nor to be construed as, financial advice, tax advice, nor legal advice. If you need any applicable advice, please seek a licensed professional. To Be Fruitful Training Group assumes no liability for any actions you take using this information, as additional due diligence is required. All rights, titles, and actions or interests reserved ab initio without prejudice. Alright, y'all. So this is going to be an informal video. Just a quick little one to give an update on what I've been up to, why I haven't been posting as many normal videos in quite a while. I've been fairly busy, essentially, keeping up with 2 private calls a week, as well as managing the Telegram group for the private equity weekly workshop and the exclusive equity live discussion, respectively. The workshop is for donations only, minimum donation of $350. However, the exclusive equity live discussions is still on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. It's just on Telegram, and that remains free. So, like I said, the link will be in the description as well, so you can join there. So, just to kind of provide a little bit more background as to the reason why I've been posting less as far as videos, is really because at this point in my studies, a lot of the information is really and truly private. There are some pretty profound things that I've realized upon studying, different materials. They're still in the public, but the way that they arrange as far as the true history is different than people would even recognize. So that's why I've kind of been keeping those things to the private, because there are actually different acts of Congress and statutes that actually prevent people from talking about certain things in the public. So that's why I've had to do that. However, the things in the public that I can talk about are things that are already in the public: dictionaries, other things like that, public treaties, etc. So to kind of give a better idea as to what I'm talking about, there is, let me see, yes, this is it. So this is out of a New Law Dictionary. This is written by Giles Jacob, and it goes prior to Anderson's Law Dictionary, prior to Bouvier's Law Dictionary, prior to Ballantyne's Law Dictionary, and it goes all the way back to 1739. So this particular dictionary is very insightful, I will say that. So I'll read a couple definitions. So this one's franchise. So it says French is taken for a privilege or exemption from ordinary jurisdiction. As for a corporation, to hold pleas to such a value, etc. Now, I'd like to make a note that everyone thinks that is so wrong that certain corporations, etc., are able to hold pleas. Well, it's really not. People think it's one way, but they don't understand what happened in history. Because, yes, there was a narrative that went against legal precedent, which is why people don't understand how things work. So, if you're still curious, go read Hamilton versus Eaton, 1796, and tell me what you think from then on out. So, then you'll know that British law is more applicable than people think. As for a corporation to hold pleas to such a value, etc., and sometimes it is an immunity from tribute when it is either personal or real, that is belonging to a person immediately or by means of this or that place whereof he is chief or a member. There is also a franchise royal, which seems to be that where the king's writ runs not. But franchise royal is said by some authors to be where the king grants to one and his heirs that they shall be quit of toll, etc. A franchise in general is a royal privilege in the hands of a subject, and may be vested in bodies politic or corporations, either aggregate or sole, or in many persons that are not corporations, as in borough, towns, etc., or in a single person, corporation, sole. And franchises are of different kinds, such as the Principality of Wales, counties palatine, counties, hundreds, ports of the sea, etc. Then there is a franchise or liberty of having a leet, manor, or lordship, as well as a liberty to make a corporation and to have cognizance of pleas, and bailiwicks of liberties and liberty of a forest, chase, etc., fairs and markets, felons' goods, goods of fugitives, outlaws, deodans, treasure trove, waste, estrays, wrecks, etc. All these come under franchises and liberties. All franchises and liberties are derived from the crown, and some are held by the charter, but some lie in prescription and usage, without the help of any charter. And usage may uphold franchises, which may be claimed by prescription, without record either of creation, allowance, or confirmation. And wreck of the sea, ways, straits, fairs, and markets, and the like, are gained by usage, and may become due without any matter of record. But goods of felons and outlaws, and such like, grow due by charter, and cannot be claimed by usage, etc. It hath been adjudged that grants of franchises made before time of memory ought to have allowance within time of memory in the king's bench, or before the barons of the exchequer, or by some confirmation on record. And it is said they are not records pleadable, if they have not the aid of some matter of record, within time of memory, and such ancient grants after such allowance. Now, for this particular aspect, I will note that it is maintained in certain dictionaries as well, that time immemorial starts prior to William I in 1066. So legal memory or legal traceability of legal histories can only go back 1,000 years at this present moment, just so you know. So time of memory after such allowance shall be construed as the law was when they were made, and not as it had been since altered. But franchises granted within time of memory are pleadable without any allowance or confirmation, and if they have been allowed or confirmed as aforesaid, the franchises may be claimed by force thereof, without showing the charter. There have been some formerly several ancient prerogatives divided from crown, besides the franchises aforementioned, as power to pardon felony, make justice of assize, and of the peace, etc. Though by the statute, that particular one, I believe it's Henry VIII, they were resumed and reunited to the crown, and king cannot grant power to another to make strangers born denizens here, because such power is by law inseparably annexed to his person. By several ancient statutes, the church shall have all her liberties and franchises inviolable, and the lords spiritual and temporal shall enjoy their liberties, etc., and the king may not deprive them of any of them. By the statute of Magna Carta, the franchises and liberties of the city of London and all other cities, towns, etc., are confirmed. It says 30th Edward statute ordains that a writ shall issue out to the sheriffs of the counties to permit all men to enjoy their liberties and franchises. And on proclamation made, they shall show their tenures to the justices of assize or forfeit their franchises. Now you can read the rest of the definition yourself, but I will mention that there is kind of I believe this lost in translation, that understanding of how things actually work. Because if the sheriff And the counties are, by definition, British, because what is a county? A county is the jurisdiction of a count or earl, which, as you know, is a title of nobility. Now, when you read the Constitution, it says that the United States will not grant any titles of nobility, but it does not expressly forbid them. It just says that the United States will not grant them. So they must come from somewhere else. And where do titles of nobility come from? They come from the ruling crown. So now, why is there a county in just about every square inch of land upon, the so-called territories of the United States here in North America? Well, let's take a look. So what we have here is a coin from King George III, 1819, Georgius III. He is talking about Great Britannia. And now a lot of people will maintain the position that, it's just the Latin name for Britain. Then, okay, why is this in Latin if the English nobility spoke English? There's a very common misconception that English was derived from Latin, which is not the case. Many loan words in our modern form of it have been, but Old and Middle English, there's very little to show that Latin actually is the predecessor of English. So English itself has its original roots farther, as its own distinct language. So that's a coin there. So you have another coin from Britannia, Georgius III. So now you have Britannia. But if it was just Britannia or Britain, it would just say that. There would be no need for an ending on that. Because on this other coin, Britanniarum, arum is the suffix. If you were going to maintain certain things, that Britannia, it would just be Britain. So there is a very clear distinction. This is one of the first pennies. This was, again, by King George III, minted out of copper, 1797, under Britannia. Make no mistake, this is a hermaphrodite holding the trident. So I have shown certain images showing Uncle Sam and Britannia, or the symbol thereof of Britannia, hand in hand, before. So this is there. But this is the thing that I was mentioning in some of my prior videos. Britannia was here in America, and it was different than the Isles Britannica, or the Britannica Insulae in Latin. They were distinct and separate. Now, if you consider that what we know of today as Britain, where it's presently located overseas, then you'll know that that is called the Britannica Insulae, or the Isles Britannica, where we have gotten the Encyclopedia Britannica from. But that is not Britannia. Britannia is entirely separate, because they denote it as Britanniarum in the Latin. So Britannia is Roman Britain. Now there's two different alternate accounts of history. And when you go back beyond a certain point, pre-Civil War era, just about all the references of Roman Britain are dealing with Britannia, which was here in America. So this is what, I was talking about with Alexandria and other places, in the East Coast. So these different things are the remnants. Now, what happened in the 1800s remains to be seen. There are very, number of so-called fictional references that talk about cataclysms and other strange and terrible events that happened in the 1800s. And I've pieced together some of my own opinions that I guess surmised, for lack of a better word. But to right now, I've just been digging in that regard, because there are different accounts of history. Now, why is it that Abraham Lincoln is on the penny? Well, most people don't know that he was the last copper-colored president. So after that, there was a whitewashing of history. So, and make no mistake, these English monarchs were not pale-skinned. But other than that, just to give you a good idea of how things go, I do rely on donations. So if you would like to donate to this channel, I will have my information in the description below. So that's partly what has been taking up a lot of my time, is taking on private consultations and trusts. If you'd like to see more of this type of content, and you'd like to understand English equity jurisprudence, like I said, please, donations go a long way in supporting the work that I do. I'm grateful for everyone that takes the time out of their day to research this and study. Again, do your own due diligence. This is not legal advice or tax advice. You're gonna have to study and figure things out, because the best, essentially, masters are still students themselves. So all of us have a lot more learning and studying to do. None of us are above correction, and there was a lot that we were lied to about. So I don't think it's necessarily something to, I would say, bash people about, per se, but because realistically, at the end of the day, I just want the truth, because the truth, at least you know how to operate from that point on, because you know the current state of affairs. So, and I would hope that everyone else desires the same. So, and then just another definition. There was another good one before we go through that. Is it amortization, pledge? Which one was it? Oh, here it is. Diminution. This is also out of a New Law Dictionary by Giles Jacob. Diminutio, diminution, is where the plaintiff or defendant in a writ of error alleges to the court that part of the record is omitted and remains in the inferior court not certified, whereupon he prays that it may be certified by certiorari. Of course, diminution is to be certified on a writ of error, though if issue be joined upon the errors assigned, and the matter is entered upon record, which is made a concilium, in this case there must be a rule of court granted for a certiorari to certify diminution. Diminution cannot be alleged of a thing which is fully certified. Sounds like authenticated. But in something that is wanting, as want of an original or a warrant of attorney, the plaintiff in error certify one original, etc., which is wrong, and the defendant in error certifies another that is true. The true one shall stand. After a writ of error brought, the defendant hath pleaded in nullo est erratum, there's nothing wrong. He can afterwards allege he cannot afterwards allege diminution, because by that plea he affirmeth or alloweth the record to be such as is certified upon the writ of error. But in some cases diminution hath been alleged, after in nullo est erratum pleaded, ex gratia curae, or by gift of the court or grant of the court, though not ex rigore juris, not out of the rigor of the law. And there is an instance that the court in such a case hath awarded a certiorari to inform their conscience of the truth of the record in C, B, where the defendant in error had not joined in nullo est erratum. So, it's a good thing to remember. The diminution of a record is realistically dealing with the lack of certification of the record. So let's say that a record had been certified and not fully authenticated by the appropriate superior officers. This might be diminution, especially when there's been an error in the record. So this is something there, just so you know. But I hope this has been helpful. Like I said, please feel free to donate and support this channel. It goes a long way. I'm grateful for all the subscribers and viewers that I have, as well as everyone in my private classes, as well as the Telegram group. I'm grateful and I'm thankful. So all praises to the Most High. This is B with To Be Fruitful Training Group. Thank y'all for listening, and I'll talk to y'all later.